قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون إنما يتذكر أولو الألباب.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام الأتمان الأكملان على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، أما بعد، فاللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما وانفعنا بما علمتنا يا رب العالمين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. So we continue the ahadith in Bulugh Al-Maraam in Adillat Al-Ahkam of Al-Hafiz Ibn Hajar Al-Asqalani rahmatullahi alayhi, based upon the explanation of Muhammad ibn Salih Al-Uthaymeen rahimahullah. And we stopped at the hadith of Saddad ibn Aus radiallahu anhu, whereby the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam saw a man to giving hijama to another man, and he said, "Aftar al-hajim wal-mahjum." The one that's doing the hijama and having the hijama done to them has nullified their hijama. And this is a well-known hadith. And we spoke about the masail, and the Shaykh, he concluded that hijama or having hijama done to you is something that having done to you something that invalidates the fast. But some related masail he speaks about, like donating blood whilst fasting. So he says, هل التبرع بالدم وهو صائم يفطر أو لا يفطر? Okay, donating blood whilst fasting, does it invalidate the fast or not? He says, إذا كان الدم كثيرا يؤثر عليه كما يؤثر الحجامة فإنه مفطر. If the blood is a lot, whereby it affects the person like it would when the hijama done, then it would be something that invalidates the fast. So he says, وحينئذ نقول هل يجوز أن يتبرع به فيفسد صومه أو لا يجوز? Okay, in that case, if a person is fasting and it's an obligatory fast, or just fasting in general, can we say do we say it's permissible for him or her to donate the blood and invalidate the fast, or is it not permissible because there's a need, or there might be a need? As for إن كان صوم نفلا فلا بأس. As for the voluntary fast, then that person has authority to do what they want. It's voluntary. وذلك لأن النفل يجوز أن يبطله الإنسان. Because if it's a voluntary fast, a person can have that authority or that permission to break it. But if it's not, وإن كان الصوم واجبا فإنه لا يجوز أن يتبرع به. As for an obligatory fast, then it's not permissible. اللهم إلا إذا كان قرر الأطباء بأنه إذا لم يحقن في هذا المريض دم مات الآن. Unless the doctor say, if he doesn't get this blood right now, then he's going to die. Right? In that case, أو يخشى عليه الموت, or it's feared that he will die or she will die. In that case, يجب أن يتبرع بدم ويفطر. In that case, it's obligatory. It becomes obligatory to donate the blood and break the fast, even if it's Ramadan. Right? Because now you have to, now it is a mas'ala, this mas'ala relates to saving an innocent life. Saving an innocent life, and this is لأنه يجب إنقاذ الغريق والحريق ولو أدى إلى الفطر. So the likes of these matters whereby it revolves around saving an innocent life is obligatory, even if it leads to breaking the fast, like saving someone that's drowning, saving someone that's that's hariq, that's gonna burn, etc. In this case, we say, donate the blood and break your fast. يجوز أن له أن يأكل ويشرب, and then it becomes for that person to eat and drink. Okay. What's the قاعدة? The قاعدة is عندنا أن كل من أفطر في رمضان بسبب يبيح الفطر فله الأكل والشرب بقية النهار. Because the قاعدة is, if a person opens their fast or breaks their fast for a valid reason that's permitted in the Sharia, then in that case they can eat and drink for the remaining part of the day. And they don't have to withhold from eating and drinking because it has no benefit. and everything that's permissible. It's as if the person is not fasting, right? As long as فما دام أن الشارع قد أذن له في الأكل والشرب فلا حرج. As long as we find the Sharia, the legislator had permitted that person to eat and drink, etc. طيب, and this is of course if a person cannot find somebody else to donate give blood, for example, a woman that's not fasting for a valid reason, or anyone that's not fasting for a valid reason, like someone that's a traveler, then they should try to, make the effort. So the one that's donating blood is someone that has that concession without the need of saving an innocent life. The concession of traveling, mathalan, or someone that has any other concession whereby they don't have to fast and they can still give blood. But if they can't find that person, and it's only you that's available and this person's life is at stake, then it becomes obligatory to save the nafs al-ma'suma, which is save the innocent life. طيب. Okay, how about little amount of blood? الدم اليسير كالدم الذي يؤخذ للفحص, like the one, the blood they take for a blood test. Or when you have your tooth removed, etc., then this obviously does not break the fast. But if you're having your tooth removed, then you must ensure that you spit the blood out until it stops. And it's not permissible for you to drink the blood intentionally. But if it happens as a reflex action or unintentionally or out of forgetfulness, then that doesn't invalidate the fast. طيب. Let's move on to the next hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم اكتحل في رمضان وهو صائم. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he did kuhl. Kuhl is like black. Usually it's black. It's not always black. I think there's a see-through one as well. It's something that you put in your eye and it strengthens the health of the eye. طيب. And it also beautifies the eye if it's in black. اكتحل في رمضان. So this hadith, Aisha mentioned the Prophet ﷺ, he used ماذا؟ الكحل during Ramadan, and this is collected by Ibn Majah بإسناد ضعيف, with a weak narration, with a weak إسناد, with a weak chain of narration. وقال الترمذي لا يصح في هذا الباب شيء. Imam al-Tirmidhi said nothing is authentic pertaining to putting something in your eye whilst you're fasting. There's nothing in any of the books, according to Al-Imam al-Tirmidhi. Now we mentioned, I believe, why does the author bring about weak hadith? Because we may find some scholars use weak hadith as evidences. So it's good to be aware of the certain ruling that certain scholars or certain schools of thoughts give based upon a weak hadith. And we know that the ruling is not correct because they based it upon a weak hadith. So to bring awareness and to bring to give examples of why we have difference of opinion with these kind of matters is one of the reasons perhaps why Al-Hafiz brings weak narrations. Ala kulli hal, the importance of bringing this hadith is because of the mas'ala of, okay, something being ingested into your body. Okay, we have different entry points in your body. So you got the, you may see, some scholars may see the eyes, the ears, the nostrils, obviously the mouth is the obvious one, as entry points in the body. And the eye is one of them. Now, does that mean if you put something in your eye, let's say an eye drop, etc., and it goes to your throat, mathalan, and then goes to your stomach, mathalan, does it invalidate the fast or not? So that's the whole point, right? That's the point of bringing this mas'ala and speaking about it. The Shaykh, he says, Al-Kuhlu lis-Sa'im la ba'sa bihi. Okay? So we know, let's talk about Kuhl first. We know the asl, the origin is every single act of worship is valid unless there's an evidence to show otherwise. Every single, yeah? So the one that says such and such thing invalidates the fast, they are the one that have to bring the evidence. Because why? The things that invalidate the fast are very few as opposed to, or in comparison to the things that don't break the fast. right? So therefore, in order to say such thing breaks the fast, that person has to bring the evidence. على كل حال, the Shaykh, he said, الكحل للصائم لا بأس به. There's nothing wrong with putting كحل, سواء كان صوم نفل أو فريضة, whether it be voluntary or fard. Because some scholars, this is what they do. They'll say voluntary is okay, and fard, no. Because of their wara'. You find this because of their care, them being cautious. And sometimes you may find them being overcautious due to their, fear of preserving that act of worship. And they may pass on a ruling based upon that. So, ماذا? So this is something to be aware of. So we find other scholars say no, we can't make the religion hard for the people. If they want to be cautious, that's on them. We have to clarify the ruling. So this is, for example, Ibn Uthaymeen, that's why that he always leans to making things easy based upon evidence, right? If there's an evidence, then he obviously follows the evidence. If he sees it if he sees that it proves that point of view. But if he doesn't see an evidence, he said no, right? So this is why he says, for example, here, there's nothing wrong with it. سواء وجد طعم الكحل في حلقه أو لم يجده. Whether the person finds the taste of this كحل in their throat or not. لأن بعض الأكحال لها نفوذ قوي فيصل طعم الكحل إلى الحلق فهل يفطر؟ لا يفطر. Okay? Because some types of كحل is so powerful and it's so penetrative that it goes, the smell, the person could taste it in their throat. Even then we say it doesn't. لأننا عددنا المفطرات لم نجد فيها. Because we, based upon the evidence, we counted and enumerated the things that invalidate the fast and we did not find them to be one of them. ثم إنه ليس مناط الحكم أن يصل الطعم إلى الحلق. And likewise, the hukum or the ruling is not based upon whether the taste reaches the throat. Right? It's not based upon that. That's why Shaykh al-Islam, he says, it's not about the taste reaching throat, or even, the taste reaching throat. Shaykh al-Islam, what does he say? إنه ليس هناك دليل على أن مناط الحكم وهو وصول الشيء إلى الجوف أو الحلق. Okay? The ruling does not revolve around something reaching the throat or the inside. إنما مناط الحكم أن يصل إلى المعدة التي مجتمعه الطعام. Okay, the manat, the ruling revolves around the ma'idah, something reaching the ma'idah, which is the the stomach. So even if it reaches the lungs, it's not based upon that. طيب. وهي مجتمع الطعام. This is where the food gathers. يستحيل دما ويتغذى به الإنسان. And it becomes obviously into blood, and the person finds nourishes themselves with it or through it. So in that case it would be أكلا وشربا, food or drink. وعلى هذا فنقول إن الكحل وإن لم يثبت به دليل فالأصل حل. Yeah, even if there's no evidence, we said the asl is hal, the origin is halal. Okay. And likewise, the Sheikh mentioned another one. There's another version in Abu Dawood. Apparently, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Li yattaqihi as-sa'im." Let the fasting person avoid it, right? And even that, this hadith is munkar. Yes. كما قاله البخاري عن ابن معين رحمه الله وإذا كان منكرا فلا حجة فيه وبقي الأمر على الإباحة. So if it's munkar, it's a hadith that's not authentic, then we say there is no proof in that. And then the Shaykh, he says, and this is why we find some of the scholars would say if the taste goes to the throat, then it would invalidate the fast. And this is a weak opinion. Why? والذي يدل على ضعفه عدم الدليل على أنه مفطر. What's the evidence? The evidence is the fact that there is no evidence. Right? There is no evidence to show that it invalidates the fast. Likewise, والعين ليست منفذا للطعام والشراب. The eye is not an entry point for food and drink. حتى يقال إن هذا وصل إلى الحق. For us to say that it's reached the throat. فعندنا الآن علتان عظيمتان. So here we have two reasons. أن العين ليس منفذا للطعام والشراب والكحل ليس أكلا ولا شربا. Right? So the eye is not an entry point for food or drink, and the fact that كحل is not food or drink. ثانيا من قال إن العلة في المفطر وصوله إلى الحلق فلا تستطيع أن تثبت ذلك. Okay. Second, the person, of those that said the reason for something being a mufattir, for something valid in the fast, is that it reaches the throat. And the reality is there is no evidence for that. They cannot prove that. Okay? So, على هذا التقرير, based upon this principle, we're going to say إن الكحل لا يفطر مطلقا سواء وجد طعمه أو حلقه في حلقه أو لم يجد. Okay? It does not invalidate the fast whether the person finds the taste in the throat or not. Right? فإن قيل هذا ينتقض بحديث لقيط ابن صربة حيث قال له النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Okay. Now the Sheikh always brings opposing arguments. So you find the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, when he taught a Sahabi how to make wudu, he said وَبَالِغْ فِي الْإِسْتِنْشَاقِ. So exaggerating, inhaling the water إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ صَائِمًا, unless you're fasting. So here, what's the reason for why the Prophet ﷺ told this companion, do not exaggerate whilst you're fasting? Normally you're supposed to exaggerate. A lot of people, when they make wudu, they don't even do the basic aspect of it. What they do, they get water. When they do the nose, they just touch it they just get the water and they touch their nose with the water and they stop. They don't even inhale. You're supposed to inhale. Not just inhale, you're supposed to exaggerate. So it's where you cause it to go, to the upper part, and you let the water remain in your nose. And it's really healthy. It's something that, cleanses the nose and prevents illness by the permission of Allah. So here the Prophet ﷺ, he said to exaggerate in that. Yeah? Unless you're fasting. So that opposing argument is, okay, why did he say this? So that, if the water reaches, so that to prevent the water from reaching the throat. So they would say, therefore, if it reaches the throat, we can say that invalidates the fast. Okay. طيب. What's the answer to that? أن الأنف منفذ طبيعي يوصل إلى المعدة. The answer is no. It doesn't just, it's a natural entry point for something entering to the stomach. Yeah? To the stomach. Not just the throat, to the stomach. That's the basic answer. So it's known that it reaches the stomach. طيب, that's the answer. So على كل حال, any kind of, even if it's the Sheikh speaks about any kind of dawa, any kind of medicine that person takes, even through the mouth, if it doesn't reach the stomach, let's say it reaches the lungs or something only, then it does not invalidate the fast. And he gives a qaida. He says أننا إذا نظرنا إلى الممنوعات في الصيام وجدنا أنها محفوظة معروفة بالكتاب والسنة. When we reflect upon the things that invalidate the fast, we find it very clear. Drinking, eating, sexual intercourse, hijama, obviously there's ikhtilaf, vomiting, causing yourself to vomit. I think that one, al-istisqa, is when you cause yourself to vomit. Again, على خلاف فيه, there's a difference of opinion in that. Al-inzal, masturbation, or al-imda, which is pre-seminal fluid. The Shaykh says masturbation, there's a difference of opinion. Imda, pre-seminal fluid, causing yourself to be to basically being intimate with your wife till you emit pre-seminal fluid. Again, there's ikhtilaf in that. Okay, what is the one that's consensus? Eating, drinking, sexual intercourse. This is it. So فنقول, so these are the ones that Sheikh mentioned, was included the things in which there is difference of opinion. So we find, so he says فنقول لكل من ادعى أن هذا مفطر نقول له عليك بالدليل. Right? So we say anyone that says such and such thing invalidates the fast, we say you have to bring the dalil. Because this is the ibadah, it's an act of worship, and in fact this is with a qaida with every act of worship. You cannot invalidate an act of worship based upon your own opinion, and you wanting to be cautious, or you taking a precaution, etc. No, that's not how it works, right? You have to have a clear evidence. This is why we find a lot of ignorant people. What do they say? Akhi, you sell drugs, there's no point you fasting. Or ukhti, you don't even cover properly, there's no point you fasting. What's the point of you fasting? You don't even cover properly. You're walking around with your hair and your body showing, and what's the point of you fasting? This is batil. This shows the person that speaks like this is speaking upon emotions and not upon knowledge. Because this may be the reason for Allah to guide them. This is a means of guidance. They're sincere, right? For Allah to guide them, and then they do wear the hijab because they started fasting. Are we going to say to the people that are sinning, no, wait till you're perfect? How are they going to become perfect? How are they going to improve unless they fast and they pray and they give zakat and they give hajj and they go umrah and they keep doing it and they keep doing it until they think, you know what, I'm not gonna, what's the point? Until they realize and they nurture that love for Allah and the fear for Allah, and they say this is just not worth it, right? So we find a lot of juhal, they discourage people that are known to be sinners from doing things like this, when these are for the sinners as well as the righteous, not just for the righteous. Yeah? And no one is free from sin anyway. And this is what the Shaykh saying, يَأْتِ الرَّجُلُ عِنْدَ أَدْنَى سَبَبْ يَقُولُ صِيَامَكَ فَاسِدٌ. Just find a person coming for the littlest reason, say, your fast is invalid, your prayer is invalid. And this is not a small matter. Yeah, this is هذا عدوان في حق الخالق. This is transgression upon, against the right of the Creator. والاعتداء على المخلوق, and likewise transgression upon the creation. بأن تفسد عبادته بدون دليل واضح, that you nullify the act of worship without having clear evidence. فإذا كان شيء ثابتا بمقتضى دليل شرعي فإنه لا يمكن نقضه إلا بدليل شرعي. And this is a beautiful principle, subhanAllah. If something is established and affirmed to be valid and established upon the dalil shari, right? Upon the clear legislative evidence. مثلا, you had the intention to fast for the first after Maghrib on the first night of the first night of Ramadan, right? And you woke up and you had your suhoor, or even if you didn't have your suhoor, but you had the intention, right? You woke up and mother, you didn't drink, you didn't eat, and you continue your days like this, then the Sharia, the legislation has affirmed that fast for you, right? Unless you have a clear evidence to negate the fast or nullify the fast, that fast is intact. طيب. Okay, what are the benefits of this hadith? The permissibility of doing kuhl, eyeliner, kuhl, eyeliner, right? I think that's what they call it in English. أن الكحل لا يفطر. Okay. So the first one is the permissibility of wearing eyeliner, al-kuhl, this specific type, for the fasting person. The second one being the fact that it doesn't invalidate the fast. The third one being عمومه يقتضي أنه لا يفطر صائم ولو وصل إلى حلقه, even if it reaches the throat, then it does not invalidate the fast. And the Sheikh makes the point of, okay, why are you basing this upon a weak hadith? Right? So a hadith is weak. So how can you extrapolate from this? The Sheikh says even if it is weak, we can say we just obviously the Sheikh made a point of explaining it, because even if it's weak, we can say that these things do not invalidate the fast because there is no evidence to show that they invalidate the fast. Okay? طيب, let's look at the next hadith. Hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, whereby the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man nasiya wa huwa sa'imun fa akala aw shariba falyutimma sawmahu fa innama at'amahu Allah wa saqahu." Muttafaqun alayhi. Whosoever forgets and whilst he's fasting and eats or drinks, then let him complete his fast, for it is only Allah that has given him to eat and drink. This hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim. طيب. So the Shaykh, he makes some points like the fact that when كان الصوم واجبا فاللام للوجوب ويكون فهم الوجوب ويكون فهم الوجوب أو الاستحباب من دليل آخر. Okay? So here, what kind of fast is it? Because it doesn't mention Ramadan or not. Right? It says من نسي وهو صائم. طيب. So the Shaykh says والأمر هنا هل هو للوجوب أو الاستحباب. That's the point. This command, is it a command of obligation or استحباب, recommendation, or permissibility? ينظر فإذا كان المقصود باللام رفع توهم الفطر فهي للإباحة. Okay? If the مقصود باللام, which is فليتم, the lam is usually for command. Okay? The Shaykh says, if it is for رفع توهم الفطر, it is to negate the person assuming that they have broken the fast, then it is for permissibility. Right? So the Prophet ﷺ, what did he say? فَلْيُتِمَّ صَوْمَهُ. Then let him, that lam fal is usually for command, but it can mean for other things too. So here, if the intent behind it is to negate the assumption that you have automatically invalidated your fast by eating and drinking forgetfully, then we would say it's permissible. I.e., it's permissible for you to complete the fast. Okay? لأنه يخاطب شخصا يتوهم أنه إذا أكل أو شرب أفطر, because he is addressing a person who's assuming that by drinking or eating accidentally or forgetfully, then they invalidate their fast. So in that case, this lamb would be permissibility. It's permissible for you to complete the fast. Okay, if it's not the case, then وأن اللام للأمر الحقيقي فإن كان الصوم تطوعا فالأمر للاستحباب. So if we say no, the lam is an actual command, then we would say if it is a voluntary fast, then we say this command is a command of encouragement. Yeah, because voluntary fast, you don't have to, you can just break it. So for example, you're in a voluntary fast, you accidentally eat and drink. Then it's encouraged for you to complete the fast, but you don't have to, right? It's encouraged for you to complete the fast, and your fast will be valid and you will have that reward. طيب. وإن كان الصوم واجبا فالأمر للوجوب. Okay, and if it's an obligatory fast, like fasting Ramadan, then we would say this lam is a command of obligation. Command of obligation, i.e., you have to complete that fast. You haven't broken your fast, you have to complete that fast. طيب. What are the benefits? Before we go on, the fact that the Prophet ﷺ said فَأَكَلَ أَوْ شَرِبْ, and he drank or ate, is not hasr, it's not just that, right? It includes everything. This is just mithal. فَمَثَّلَ بِالْأَكْلِ وَالشُّرْبِ. He gave examples of invalidators of fast, like eating and drinking, لِأَنَّهَا أَكْثَرُ تَنَاوُلًا مِنْ غَيْرِهِمَا. Because that's the most commonly common invalidator of the fast. طيب. إذ إن الجماع في غير المتزوج غير وارد. Okay? Because jima, in sexual intercourse, is not something that person usually, it doesn't apply to everyone. Yeah? Definitely doesn't apply to the one that's not متزوج. وفي المتزوج وارد لكنه قليل بالنسبة للأكل والشرب. As for the married person, then yeah, it's possible, but it's little in comparison to eating and drinking. So this is why he mentioned this. طيب, unless it's exceptional circumstances, then it may be common in some married couples. As the Shaykh said, اللهم إلا في الأحوال نادرة ومن ثم وخوفا من أن يقول قائل إن الجماع له حكم آخر أتى المؤلف رحمه الله برواية الحاكم وهي قوله من أفطر في رمضان. So this is why you find in the next hadith the author brings another riwayah, another another version of the hadith where it explicitly mentions man aftara fi Ramadan. Yeah, whomsoever breaks their fast in Ramadan. Not just eat and drink, whomsoever breaks that fast. So that a person can't say, no, this hadith only says eating and drinking. So if a person accidentally has sexual intercourse with his wife, then in Ramadan, then he has fallen, then he has invalidated his fast. No. We say that's not the case because we have another hadith which mentions whomsoever breaks their fast, not just eats and drinks in Ramadan or eats and drinks while fasting. No. Rather, that hadith, even though that version is weak, but this hadith is said to be weak, I believe. Wallahu alam. But regardless, this hadith is sufficient. Yeah, we can say by way of qiyas. Okay, the illah is forgetfulness. Wallahu alam. So, ala kulli hal, the Shaykh he does say that the author brings another version of the hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he doesn't just say eat and drink, rather he says whomsoever breaks their fast in Ramadan. Okay, there's 2 points here. This hadith mentions breaking fast and also Ramadan, whereas the other hadith, it doesn't mention Ramadan, neither does it mention anything other than eating and drinking. So the Shaykh says فإن هذا يعم الأكل وشرب والجماع وغيرها من المفطرات. So this includes eating, drinking and intercourse from the other forms of invalidators. والحديث بهذا اللفظ صحيح كما قال المؤلف. And this hadith as well, the second version is authentic as the author mentioned. فلو قدر عدم صحته, even if we were to assume it wasn't authentic, فهل يمكن أن نأخذ الحكم في الجماع وغيره من المفطرات من قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم من نسي فأكل أو شرب. Even if it wasn't authentic, can we take that hukum? Then we say نعم بالقياس. Yes, by way of qiyas, by way of analogy, we can say that this was only the reason why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned this is only because this is what's the common thing that breaks the fast and is applicable to everybody, whereas the other is only applicable to the married people. And likewise, the fact that the Prophet ﷺ said, فَلْيُتِمَّ صِيَامَهُ, shows that he has his full ajr. He doesn't even lose out on his ajr. Let him complete his fast. Right? Itmam shows the completion of the reward and that the person does not lose out on the reward. طيب, inshallah ta'ala, we'll stop here. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Sallallahu ala nabiyyina wa sallam. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.